I can't stop farting recently. It's terrible.
I just had the most unpleasant shit like 5 minutes ago.
Are we rolling?
I swear it's not a Trash Taste recording day unless Gant takes like a wicked shit. Like I know we're about to start recording when Gant comes out of his like shit training arc.
Oh, it's just on schedule, you know. Like I.
All right.
Oh, 2 p.m. All right, let's go.
Welcome to this episode of Trash Taste. I'm your host, of course, your boy Connor, with Mike Wazowski here. Nice seeing you back, Mike. And
I like how you grabbed the G Fuel there.
I didn't want to hurt Mike like that.
By the way,
Mike.
Mike, I can't handle Mike that harshly. It's great seeing you back, Mike. And of course, the boys, I guess.
I love how we're second to Mike.
Of course, we're all second to Mike, Joey.
He's the real player.
Mike Wazowski for you audio listeners out there.
Yes.
And people are like, "Oh, there's a guest called Mike."
Yeah.
I
forget sometimes that we have audio only listeners. Which shout out to you guys. Hello, I'm waving at you right now, even though you can't see.
Let us know your presence. Oh wait, you can't. It's audio.
So what have you boys been up to recently?
Oh, fuck all, I guess. I mean, this is the first recording session of the new year for us, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we just come out of our Christmas and New Year's, I guess, quote unquote break.
Yeah.
Because it didn't really feel like a break to
even
me.
though it's never really a Christmas holiday for YouTubers, because I feel like we've talked about this many times before, but we are very bad at taking breaks.
If anything, it's like the last minute grind, right? That we do at the end of the year.
I mean, I've just been watching a shit ton of anime because it's the end of the year.
Oh, I remember when I used to do that.
This is like my one time of the year where I actually just sit down and just catch up to the year.
Because you don't feel bad, right? Because you know that everyone's not like doing anything. So
exactly.
I don't feel bad for like just binging a few shit, right?
Exactly.
What did you binge, Gone? What did you watch?
Basically, most of everything I missed in 2020. So I watched Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes, that was so good. Have you watched that yet?
No.
Bro, it's so good.
I don't really watch anime.
You don't watch Have you read the manga at least?
No.
It's really fucking good. Like I was going into it thinking like, are we just gonna get like every year everyone's like, dude, this is the shonen. It's gonna replace.
That's what I've just been hearing. Then I'm just like, they said that about Dr. Stone. They said that about a lot of shows the last couple of years, and I'm just like, all right.
Jujutsu Kaisen is where I've actually got like a chub watching it. Like I'm actually, I'm actually like hyped, like to see where it goes.
It's something. Really? It's a show that is just knows what it's doing, and it's obviously
100%.
been like influenced from previous shonen. But my god, it's just doing everything that it needs to do right.
All I've heard is that if you watch the anime, it basically does everything the manga does, so it just makes the manga obsolete.
Great.
Yeah, I mean that was just Demon Slayer, right?
Yeah.
I want no manga. Get rid of manga. I'm sick and tired of these manga. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I was like, this man's done like entire manga reading streams before.
Because
I'm about ready to throw hands right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm tired of manga readers constantly playing the same damn card, right? When is that card going to get old? How many times can you use the I've read the manga card?
Oh, I use it all the fucking time.
How many times can you use it before you're just an asshole? You know?
I just don't care. And I think a lot of manga readers just don't care.
I mean, so everyone just says the Jujutsu Kaisen anime is exactly
basically what I've heard is that the anime does everything the manga does, but better.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I understand, that's just a lot of shonen
Seems
jump
to be the way to go, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Demon Slayer did it, and Attack on Titan's doing it.
Yeah. I don't understand why there was even a thing of let's just change the story, unless that hadn't been adapted yet.
Right.
Which hadn't been finished yet. Sorry. Why even change the story in my mind when everyone loved this thing, and so everyone's like, yeah, everyone loves this show. Let's just change it.
I mean, I feel like you started watching anime after the period where there was like so many anime adaptations that just fucked around with the manga and the story that you've forgotten that this was a legitimate like selling point where we had a manga that followed. I mean, we had an anime that followed the manga through to the end.
I can understand why they did it. They're pretty like, I'm fucking in the 90s or 80s.
Yeah, you didn't watch the 90s Shonen Jump adaptations, right? Where it's just like, oh no, I like this manga.
I imagine the producers were just like, I'm sick and fucking tired of these manga readers on their high horse. You know what? I'm gonna fuck them over and make it something they can't say. Oh, I know what happens.
Yeah,
that's probably why. Because they probably like brought the manga readers to the screenings. They were like, yeah. You know where it's going, dude.
No, if anything, it made the manga readers look better because then the anime watchers would be like, well, I've heard from the manga readers that this anime is pretty good, and then they go and they're like,
So what happens in the manga? Could you tell us? Could you tell us? We really want to know. We're interested now, finally.
Fair enough.
No, but do you find that like the older you get, the less anime, the less anime that you watch, but the more manga that you read?
Yeah, I'm in that right now.
I feel like that's like the path of every anime fan.
Maybe I'm not old enough yet. I don't know. I haven't got that yet.
You're like, what, 2 years younger than me?
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Is 25
To be
like
fair, though,
a turning point?
it was around your age where I was like, manga's a thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Like 24?
Yeah.
Which you didn't start reading manga properly like until
No, I've been reading manga all my life. But the thing is, like, up until around like a couple of years ago, I would be like very heavily, like, I'd say like 80-20 anime manga. But now it's like kind of flipped around. I'm like 80-20 manga to anime now.
Because you just realize that reading manga is basically watching anime, but just more optimized.
Yeah.
It's basically the speedrun version of watching anime, right?
Basically.
No voice acting, no music. Like, what am I supposed to do this shit myself? Like,
Exactly. The only part where it could like potentially fuck up is like on the author, right? There's like no second hand to be like,
because it's just like pure story, right?
Yeah.
You don't need anything else but just the pure story. And sometimes
there's only one person to blame if it sucks.
Yeah, but that's because it's like you don't know what you're missing out because you never think about it. Like you would never. I'll keep coming back to it. You don't know that you needed Giorno's theme in your life until you had Giorno's theme in your life, right? Like part 5 was amazing without Giorno's theme.
I mean,
but now part 5 has Giorno's theme.
Yeah.
It's
but
like 10 times.
Didn't
better.
you read the manga of part 5 before you watched the
I
anime?
did, and I think the anime's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we can agree with
Is
that.
that okay? We all agree with
Yeah,
that? I was like, wait, I was giving it a second to sit there. I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for the hands to start.
No. Like, I like
Of JoJo's, by the way.
I haven't seen all of part 5 yet, but the little that I have seen is like already better than the manga. But that's not to say that the manga is bad.
This is a very rare case where I feel like a legendary manga has been adapted into a legendary animation.
Yeah,
like, we don't get many of those, I think. It's always one or the other, right?
Because the problem is when you have a legendary manga, everyone's expectations is so fucking high. And I think that's what's happening with Attack on Titan right now. Because I swear to God, everyone is looking for every little fucking nitpick they can think of to shit on like the change of studios, right?
Yeah.
Where I think Mappa's doing a great fucking job right now. And the amount of like shitty takes I've seen on Twitter when the first episode aired.
I was streaming the day after it came out, and all the comments were like, what do you think of the 3D CGI, Connor, and Attack on Titan? I was like, I didn't even fucking notice it. What do you mean? It's fine. Like, it looked gross. What do you mean? I'm like, but it was like 2 seconds and it looked fine. Stop fucking nitpicking.
I love all those shitty takes where it's like, oh, it's done by knowing now that it's done by Mappa instead of was it Silverlink? No, not Silverlink.
Studio Wit.
It was Studio Wit. It's like knowing that it's done by Mappa instead of Studio Wit. It just feels different. It just feels different.
Yeah.
I had this image of my head of someone in their house, right? They've got like Shingeki no Kyojin shit all over the room, waiting with their popcorn. They're like, yes. The moment like the CGI comes on, I'm like, oh fuck this! Like, I knew they'd fuck it up.
No, because what I want to know is that did they just forget what the Colossal Titan looked like in season 2 and 3?
Shit.
It looked like absolute garbage compared to the CG now. And just because every Titan is CG now, people like, I don't know, it's just bad takes, and I feel like it's just because it's such a massively popular franchise that I feel the new like Mappa are doing a great job, and you got a great story anyway.
That's what I love about following like those like massive toxic fan bases, right? It's just the amount of shit takes that come out of it is just so entertaining.
And people like shitting on the opening as well, and I'm like,
I saw that.
what was wrong with the opening?
That's what people said about the last opening, and now everyone fucking loves the last opening.
I already get it, man. People just get angry every fucking season. But I guess it's because the problem is that someone has a bad take on Twitter, and then everyone fucking clowns on them. So then it's the only take that anyone sees, because everyone's fucking clowning on that guy who's like, the opening sucks. Well, why is it all colorful?
Although, to be fair, the Attack on Titan, like when episode 1 came out, there was a lot of shit takes.
Yeah.
It was just all over my timeline. I'm like, who are these people?
Because people want brownie points, man. And so if you're
brownie points for what? Looking like a clown.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because to these people, it's like people aren't going to see if you're a clown. But if you that one time you get a successful take that like takes off, imagine the clout you get, Joe.
Yes, it's like the science behind hot takes, right? Because hot takes aren't actually hot takes. It's like saying unpopular opinions, right? The unpopular opinions that people upvote aren't actually unpopular opinions. Unpopular, you know, it's like people say unpopular opinions opinions just so they can get brownie points, because it's never actually, if it's an actual unpopular opinion, that's the opinion that people shit on. You know what I mean?
You're like, that statement alone just like completely negated my Let's Fight series. Like, because that's what that show is all about. Taking unpopular opinions. Yeah, I love that, but like that's why I have such trouble with like making a next episode of that, because every time I'm like, hey guys, give me your unpopular opinions on anime, the top replies are like,
I think Cowboy Bebop
Boku no Pico is bad. I'm like, really? You don't fucking say, mate.
Yeah, I remember like, because there's like voice actors do a lot of those challenges on Twitter. They're like, hey man, like what's an unpopular voice acting opinion? And it was like, you know, I think hard work matters the most, and it was stuff like that. And it's like, what do you mean? That isn't but it's not even an opinion. That's genuinely good advice. What do you like? Just do the thing. Like
what's unpopular about it?
That's like the level of like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's what happens.
Oh,
Twitter's weird, man.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in like communities on Twitter that's like creative stuff.
Yeah.
Because I love watching artist Twitter is my favorite. How they
artist Twitter is like watching trash TV to me. It's like
God.
You can
It's
just grab
reality TV
grab
Twitter.
the popcorn, and it's like watching 90 Day Fiance or something. You know, like the amount of tea that is spilt on like artist Twitter,
Bro, it's
like
great.
it's more tea than the fucking Americans threw into the water when like they gained independence, man. My fucking God.
And I don't know why, but why is it almost always written in lowercase? It's never proper punctuation. They're just like, let's just make it as lowercase as possible. Fucking seven tweet thread, and it's just like, it's just shit that you could have summed up into just one tweet.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny ones. I love it as well when it's like people artists are like giving advice to each other, and they're just like, they all like repeat the same stuff. And it's always interesting sometimes because they'll be like, yeah, you should charge people for your art. And I'm like, is this like not known? Like, you should charge people for work? Like, what? Like,
some artists is like,
well, apparently it's pretty common. I mean, you see the messages on like For Exposure, right?
Yeah,
like that Twitter account where For Exposure is a Twitter account. People like ask people to do things for exposure.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. And
is that an unpopular opinion you just gave?
Doing work for free.
That artist should get paid.
I'm going to do an unpopular take right now.
guys, don't count me for this, but artists should get paid for that work.
To be fair though, I joke on that, but a lot of voice actors, like when they start out, they'll get like they'll spend all their money on like the new stuff, and then they'll be like, yeah, I'll do your commercial for free. Because it's different with artists and I think voice actors, because voice actors, like, you get credits. Right?
Yeah.
So you need credits.
Yeah.
So it's like a race. Everyone's just like devaluing themselves because they're like, yeah, I'll do your Kellogg's commercial for $2 and a Kit Kat bar. Like, that's fair. That seems good. My name's on the credits though, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think that there is a balance that should be taken, because there is value in clout, basically. I mean, that's how we make our money, right? It's literally we are monetizing clout. That is the modern day.
We are clout chasers as an occupation.
Yeah.
But like, there's like, yeah, go.
No, but like, I get, you know, artists should definitely be paid, and you definitely have a skill set, but there's also building up your personal branding as well, which you have to worry about. And you know,
that's the problem, right? Is that so many artists starting out, they don't see themselves as a brand,
exactly,
because of that artist mentality, right? They're not like, oh no, I'm just doing it because I like drawing.
Yeah.
I don't want to make this a profession. But then they make one piece where it's really popular and getting shared fucking everywhere, and then suddenly they're like, actually, I'm a brand. You're stealing.
Yeah, because I've seen the exact opposite of like talented artists who just don't know how to charge here, where you have like an artist who has like 2 drawings on their portfolio or something and are charging like ridiculous amounts of money, and it's just like, come on, there is a balance that needs to be taken here.
Right.
Oh yeah, my favorite is when they like, I've worked with some artists before, and like, great, you know, it's all good, you know, and it's all reasonable, all the prices seem fair, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's like for like commercial use or whatever, and they're like, oh, you're like selling it, and then they might like they might try and figure out like, okay, you make this much money, it's now worth $10,000 for this piece. And it's like what? What do you mean? What? No, what? Okay.
It's like, I'm pretty sure on your website it said $20 for a headshot, right? Like,
looks up industry standard rates. That ain't right. Okay. Well, I'm not Pepsi. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which is basically the Fiverr environment, right? How is it like working with people on? How do you know how much you're worth? And
It's
how to sell
that's
yourself
tough,
on Fiverr,
right? Because
right?
I think on Fiverr, it's inherently people like devalue themselves. But there are people on Fiverr who are charging like $500
for like $5
for like for honestly what is like really bad quality.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, right, on Fiverr, at least I can only speak for voice actors because I've hired a lot of voice actors on Fiverr, and like voice actors on Fiverr, there's like $5 is like you get a very wide variety of like skill.
Yeah.
You go all the way from headset mic because Fiverr doesn't. There's no checks. There's no one on Fiverr being like, yeah, you seem like a voice actor. You're good to go, champ. It's like, oh, you have something that your PC recognizes as an audio recording device. You're good to go. Like because there's
Tyler One fucking headset microphone all the way.
I've heard people with worse quality microphones than Tyler One screaming that are charging like $20 with commercial rights as an option, and I'm like, what? What commercial? How do you not know what like a good microphone is, but you know that you should be charging for commercial rights? Like these two things are like, come on, like. But then Fiverr does like scummy things as well. Like Fiverr takes cuts from like the tips, and Fiverr also like I don't like personally that Fiverr charges extra for like higher quality audio files. I just think you should just send a WAV file. Right, like or high quality MP3.
So people just sending MP3s
like 128
like
kilobytes
fucking,
MP3,
fucking putting the WAV behind jail or something.
Yeah. They put like WAV files behind paywalls sometimes. I'm like, why? Don't do that. Just give me the fucking WAV file. Why would you not do that? That's like different between high quality and low quality. It doesn't matter. But point is,
I didn't know fucking the voice acting industry had DLC now. Jesus Christ, that's literally DLC.
You want
the WAV expansion.
Yeah, you want the ray tracing voice acting pack add-on. Like you got to fucking pay $5 extra. But then there's people on Fiverr who charge like who charge industry rates, and I don't think Fiverr, given the because Fiverr shouldn't be charging industry rates in my opinion.
No,
because it's like not really where you should be hiring. Industry shouldn't be hiring on Fiverr, and the ones that do, I think, should be kind of like we won't get into that.
Yeah,
never had that experience myself. But yeah, no, I mean it's difficult, and Fiverr voice actors you just listen to their audio. You'll know if they're worth it.
I mean, it's not just Fiverr audios. It's Fiverr like
everything,
every creative job you can think of, because it's the way I feel about Fiverr is that it's a good testing ground because you get such a wide range, and I feel like it would be a good place to build up your portfolio, because from what I see, like, it doesn't really matter where you had your education or whatever. What we really care about, because most of the time we are the clients now. We're buying the service.
Yeah.
We just care about your portfolio.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's most important.
Yeah,
to me.
exactly. I'm like, show me your work.
Yeah.
It's a good place to build up your portfolio as well, and also get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I used to recommend to voice actors, if no one's hiring you, you don't know where to start. Don't go to one of these websites that cost like $400 a year to sign up to, because you're not going to make your money back.
Yeah. Like, for example, if we're hiring video editors, like, we can get emails about people who are qualified for X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, we're most likely going to pick people who have worked on anime videos, right? Because we know they have experience working in that fucking field,
or who like actually know us and like watch our videos and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So that's the thing. It's more about knowing your target audience and knowing what your personal branding is, and it's less important about what you put on your CV, because we don't really care about CVs that much, right?
I don't give a shit what school you went to. Is the shit good or not? Like that's all there is to it.
There's lots of video editors out there, right? It's just a matter of
I normally go to like Fiverr or somewhere for like if I need something like one-off and like fast. Like I just like because other times it's a bit of a pain to search around. It's like,
have you used Fiverr other than in your Fiverr videos?
Yeah, I've used it. Used it for where did I use it? If I need something composed, because I don't know any composers.
Right.
Like, or making music. So I'm like,
I go from knowing 0 composers to Kevin Tenkin.
right. I can't go, oh, Kevin, mate, I got this video idea. You should just compose me a track for it. Like, so I'll go to someone, I'm normally like, make like a MIDI track of this, or make like a version of this. It's normally very basic like thing, or I'm like, copy this thing. I mean, I think I've had like some emotes on my Twitch drawn there. That's pretty decent. Yeah, there's a lot of Twitch stuff on there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of artists on Fiverr, right?
Yeah, but oh my god, there's so many.
Yeah. Or quote unquote artists.
Is that where you get your Twitch stuff? Because I've actually been looking to try and like upgrade my Twitch presentation because my Twitch presentation is fucking shit because I've never given a shit about streaming before.
Problem is on Fiverr, it's tailored towards like, I think, what the like general audience of people who are looking to get into live streaming would want.
Right.
So it's all like very gamer looking. You know what I mean when I say that, right? Like 90% of the Fiverr stuff for like targeted at like Twitch and like Twitch overlays all looks like something that is an application to the FaZe clan. Like it doesn't look like
it's like the default ones that you get on like Streamlabs.
Yeah,
right?
which is why I think I ended up hiring someone who I know that did a lot of this stuff and who watched some of my stuff, so they were kind of familiar with my stuff.
I'm thinking to update mine as well, and like
So,
I met an artist recently who probably gonna get to hire because it's the same thing as like because right now I'm using like a default one. I'm just like I should probably personalize it a little more.
Yeah,
just
I
to make it stand out a little bit.
How'd you guys find artists? You just DM people on Twitter?
I just tweet out or like ask on live streams. I'm like, hey guys, I like need something. Can someone tell me like where I go?
A lot of them actually I find through like them doing fan art of me.
Okay.
Yeah, so like the person I'm probably going to be hiring soon is Rocket Cat, who did like a bunch of like drawings with me and Chris, the Journey Across Japan stuff.
Right.
And it's really fucking cute. So I asked her, I was like, can you do some Twitch stuff? And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
So it's just asking around, really.
I have like no idea what art is worth, so whatever they give me, if it's not ridiculous, I'm
Yeah,
like,
basically,
that sounds good.
yeah.
Sure, fuck it, I'll pay that, whatever, man.
I'm way more comfortable being like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Versus like, I'll give you $15. Like just something ridiculous.
There's always that
right?
debate, right? Is it you as the buyer should ask, or should the person, like the client, say, hey, this is what I'm worth?
Right.
Yeah.
Because it frustrates me when I hear like, what's your budget? And I'm like, I don't have a fucking budget. I just want to know what
What are you worth?
Yeah, I'm like, what do you want? What's your hourly rate? You tell me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I understand that that's in place for people who can't maybe afford
Yeah,
like a lot of things, but I'm like, I don't know. Whatever you think it's worth, tell me. I'll pay it.
It's like a fucking standoff, right? It's you're like you're waiting for the first one to like say a number. It's just like how much is this worth? Like what's your budget? And I fucking hate that debate, right?
I get it though from the artist perspective because like they're probably like, oh, if I say it's something that's a little too high, then I'm afraid I might lose the client.
Right. Yeah, but that's when you can negotiate, right? You can be like, I think that's a little too high. Was it maybe something?
Yeah,
like
but a
this?
lot of them starting off don't know any better.
Yeah, true,
right?
true.
Like
Exactly.
I was afraid at first as well. Like when I'd get sponsorship opportunities, they'd be like, "What do you want for it?" And I'm like, fuck, I don't know. Well, how much do you have?
Yeah, have either of you been ever good at like bartering or whatever?
I love
it's called?
doing it.
Like I learned to do it just because my dad was really good at it.
Right.
Like
I fucking suck at it, man.
Yeah.
Like this is why I love Japan, where everything is labeled and priced. Because whenever I go to Thailand, you just play this dance around everything you buy, man. Because it is a fucking dance where you're just like, oh, okay, so you're gonna charge me that? Well, I'm gonna like say a price that's 10 times lower.
In Australia, it's like a dance that you will only dance if you decide to enter the ring. It's like you can stand back and just kind of be like, oh, this is how much you want? All right, and put your wallet out. But then you can also be like, hold on, let me roll up my sleeves real quick. Let's samba, baby. Come on. Because like my dad was so fucking, because my dad has been like an IT salesman for like the past 30 years. So this man, I don't know how the fuck he did it, but I remember like when I was in like high school or something, and I wanted to buy my first guitar, like a proper electric guitar, and he bought me like this like really nice Epiphone guitar, which is worth like $2,000 or something.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And he looked at it and he's like, so this is just the guitar, right? And the guy's like, yeah. He's like, can I have a chat with you, mate? and he took the dude like back behind like the counter into a room. Right. And he's like, hold on, son, I'm just gonna.
Did you fucking beat him up?
I don't know.
Why did he have to go in the back? Why couldn't he do it at the counter?
I don't know. But he like took him to the back. He's like, all right, let me talk. And then I think maybe like 10 minutes later, he came out.
It's free. It's free.
He's taking it. No, he came out.
Black eye.
He came out 10 minutes later, and he's like, all right, so the guitar now is $1,500, and he threw in a free amp. And I'm like, how? What did you say? What did you do? How did you do? He's like, I just talked to him, mate. I'm like, no. Like, if it was that easy, then everyone would be getting deals. It's not just a matter of, oh, I just talked to him. Like,
well, what did you say to him? Where everyone can
He'll
talk.
never know.
Yeah. I was like, what did you say?
Did you do a fucking Jedi mind trick? Was it like that's technically fucking
I'm like,
talking, isn't it?
Did you like Inception, like plant the seed? And he's just like, it's $1,500 now.
The first time I ever saw like bartering happen, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, wait, you can go against the price that's written?
Yeah.
That's
You can do
that's
that?
an option? Because I was in like, we were on a school trip to New York, and it was like the first time our school ever like went to a different country.
Yeah.
And I really wanted.
You guys go to New York for school?
Yeah, dude, it was chaos. It was pure fucking chaos.
shit.
Fuck, lucky.
How old were you?
16, I think.
Oh my god!
Wow.
It was an absolute mess, bro.
Fucking the only school trips I went to was just like France at most. That was the furthest I've ever gone to a
That was
school
like the
trip.
bougiest one, and for some reason, for 1 year, they never did it again. I think they realized it was a horrible mistake. They took us to New York. It was a fucking mess. It was awful. It was like, I mean, if I was a teacher there, I would have hated it. I had a great time, but it was. I remember it was very expensive, but we stayed in like really fucking sketchy motels. I can talk about it more after the story, but we were basically like, I really wanted Converse because obviously when you're like 15, 16, you see the shit on like American TV. You're like, yo, I want Converse.
Yeah.
So I went to a store and my friend was with me and he was in the year above me. And I was like, man, I want to get these, but I've only got like $30 left and they're $40. He was like, oh, I'll ask him if we can do it for 30. He's like 17. I'm bartering with him. And then eventually he said, I'll give it you for 30 if you give me a $2 tip. And I'm like, is that okay? Are you allowed to do that? I don't know if he's the owner or what, but that's what he got it down to. And I was so impressed that when I went home to the UK, I tried to do it, but immediately all the stores are like, no.
Wait, what store was this?
I'd go to like, in America or in the UK?
In America.
You go to like a fucking Tesco's
was
and
it
be
like an official store?
I think it was like in a mall. And it was like an independent store, maybe. I think that's why I got away with it. So I went to like a fucking supermarket in the UK, go to the thing and I'm like,
Go to fucking Tesco.
Yeah,
It's like, really, like £5 is a little too much for this
I'm
meal
sorry,
deal.
you're telling me this Kellogg's fucking crispy nut creams for like how much?
I'll be like, you know, it's a little £3 a little expensive.
Yeah.
Could you do 250?
Yeah, I'll do 250. I'll do
I'll
250.
give you 250. And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay, fuck. And then I never tried it again for a while. But I like going to places where you can do it because I like trying to do it. I don't often succeed very much.
I don't know how, like... I probably could do it if I really wanted to, but I'm always just so fucking afraid to do it as well because I don't know how.
You're like, no.
Yeah, I don't know because with that kind of stuff, if you're not coming in with confidence, you're basically fucked, right?
Exactly.
There's no way you're gonna win it.
You need to come in with like a winning mentality.
You got to come in with like the biggest dick energy.
And like I can do it. It just takes so much fucking energy. But whenever you're in a place in like Thailand, that's like 90% of the stores you go to, and you just want a store where you pay the price that they originally asked for and just not have to like do this mini game every time.
Yeah. I remember I watched like I think I mentioned him on the YouTuber episode. He does videos about Prague and he covers like taxi scams. And I was in Prague. I had a taxi. And I was like, this is like in the simulations. This is exactly what he spoke about. Because they were trying to charge me what he said was being overcharged. And I remember I was with my mate in a taxi. I'm like, no, I've seen the YouTube video. I've got this. And I'm like, I'm not paying that. That's too much. And eventually we got it like half the price. It was like, you're supposed to be like, he charged like 50 euros for like the equivalent in Czech money for like it was supposed to be like half that. It was like only like a 20-minute, like 15-minute journey. I was like, no, I've seen the simulations. I know this is right. And there's YouTube channels of dudes who go around India like bartering.
Oh yeah,
Dude, I can imagine bartering in India is just like next level. That's like expert mode, man.
It's literally it looks like a reality TV show with every purchase. The guy's like, I'm walking away. I'm going. I'm not getting in your taxi. And then they're like fucking following them.
Like, no,
please, sir.
This episode is sponsored by Princess Connect Redive, one of the most successful gacha games in Japan since its release, which is now available worldwide on iOS and Android.
While Joey tells you all about Princess Connect Redive, me and Garn are going to be eating onigiri, and we're going to see who can eat the most before Joey finishes his ad read. Although these are literally just blocks of carbs, so set your expectations low.
So I'm going to be reading this as slowly as humanly possible.
No.
Why did we agree to this?
All right, Joey, you may proceed to tell us about today's sponsor. Go.
I will let
as fast as you can, please.
As fast as you can, please, go.
Let's introduce... I'm just kidding. Let's introduce you to the game Princess Connect Redive, one of the hottest and successful gacha games from Japan. Princess Connect Redive was developed by Cygames, the developer of Shadowverse, Dragalia Lost, and Grand Blue Fantasy. Shut up, Gon. I'm reading a script. So you can expect that this game is amazing. This all-inclusive anime RPG is full of beautifully animated cutscenes, special abilities, and characters. Furthermore, it has such an incredible, deep, and original story that there's even an anime based off the game, which was released last year in 2020 with Season 2 on the way, so look forward to that. There are over 50 heroines and counting. Strengthen and ascend them to reach their full potential. Every character
character in Guild has their own unique story to unlock and is voiced by the most popular voice actresses in the industry. Build your own personal guild house, fight for the top ranks of multiple PvP modes, battle with your clan, conquer dungeons, and plenty more, with plenty of events, cross-brand collaborations, and new content to keep players engaged. And you know what? Just like Gon and Connor, there'll be plenty of rice balls during your journey as well. We're not just doing this because it's like a weird thing.
I'm not even hungry.
So make sure to click the links down in the description below to get the game for yourself. And thank you to Princess Connect Redev once again for sponsoring this video.
I won.
Hey, got one.
It tastes so boring.
Show your plate.
Wait, what? You had 2? No, you didn't. You're cheating. There's some foul play going on here.
Did you get a Princess Connect Redev for sponsoring this episode? Back to the video.
I hate
Get good, Connor. Get good.
But yeah, back to my school trip to America. It was my first time ever going to America.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember there was 2 things I was really excited for going to America. What do you think they were?
In and out.
No, they didn't go there. I only went to New York. And
Oh, you only went to New York.
The food?
I wanted 2 things from what I'd seen from media. I wanted Twinkies and I wanted Mountain Dew. And
Wait, did they not have Mountain Dew in UK?
they do, but it's not like, it's the stuff without like the green stuff in it. Because that stuff's illegal in the UK. So our Mountain Dew just tastes like Sprite.
What?
We have it, but it's not that popular and it doesn't taste like Mountain Dew at all.
It's
Really?
not proper Mountain Dew.
No.
Wait,
Yeah.
what the fuck is in Mountain Dew that makes it illegal in the UK?
The stuff that makes it super green.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
illegal.
like, because I'm pretty sure, like, all the sodas in the UK, you're not allowed to use corn syrup either. So, like,
Maybe,
Coke
yeah.
and soda in America taste different from like sodas in the UK.
Right.
In fact,
Ours does have less sugar in it as well.
it has like a little less sugar, and you can taste it. You
Oh,
can
100%.
definitely taste
Oh
the
yeah,
difference.
I mean, the first time I had like proper Mountain Dew, well, I guess now I know it's proper Mountain Dew in America. I was like,
Australia might have different, it might not. But Twinkies are shit. Twinkies taste like ass. Why did the TVs
why did you think it was good?
Because in all the TV shows, they made Twinkies look amazing. And then I had it, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like,
Wait, from what TV
Yeah, from
show?
what
maybe
TV
like,
show?
maybe like Zombieland or something, actually. Because he's obsessed with them in Zombieland.
Oh yeah, that was that.
Then I
that
also
was
learned
what it
that
was.
they were like can survive nukes or something. I don't think that's I don't think that's true at all. But in Family Guy, that's
Man,
what
it's
it's
like survival
I
food.
wonder
was-
how much Twinkies paid Zombieland like
That
to
was fantastic
fucking promote.
advertising.
Yeah, that was like 5-head advertising right
I
there.
went there as a teenager and I fucking wanted
This
Twinkies.
shitty spongy thing that you put into your mouth, survival food.
Yeah.
During during an apocalypse.
My God. So like I'm prone to getting like nosebleeds as well. Until I got my nose cauterized,
All right.
which is like when you get like fucking burn it.
Yeah.
So I used to if it got like even remotely hot, I would get nosebleeds.
Really?
So when I went to America, it was just too hot 'cause it was in the summer, and I was just every day had nosebleeds.
How
So
hot
that
does
was
it get in New York in the summer?
It's pretty damn hot.
Pretty humid.
Really?
Yeah, I remember I went to New York once in the summer, and it was like pretty hot and humid.
Oh.
It's like in the 30s.
I don't know why. I thought because it's so cold in the winter, I would
Yeah.
assume it got like quite cool in the summer.
It was great though, because any of the like really boring places, I would just be like, come on. And then I'd get to go. Get ice cream or something. The staff would go take me out. But because we were like going through like one museum that was really fucking boring. I can't remember what it was as a kid.
Oh,
like,
it's the big
Yeah.
museum in New York.
no,
right?
the Smithsonian was pretty cool because that has like
Yeah.
loads of exhibits and stuff. But there was some other museum they took us to, which was like maybe it was like the some CIA thing that was like just
Right.
books, and I was like, I have no interest in this. But I remember
I have no interest. Pa!
they just like let us go around Times Square on our own.
Really?
When
Wow,
we were
really?
16. Yeah,
that could have gone horrendously
Yeah,
wrong. So
that
my
sounds really
God.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Like I'm like Times Square's like I'm not even.
I wouldn't let my 16-year-old kid
I don't
go.
feel
I
safe during.
wouldn't.
I don't even feel safe during the day in Times Square, let alone at night.
I don't feel safe as an adult there,
Yeah.
let alone like a 16-year-old
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, and I remember this is so funny. One of the kids came back, right, and he had a bunch of CDs. And we were like, why do you have CDs? And he's like, oh, well, the guys kept coming up to me and telling me if I wanted to hear them spit. So I kept having to buy them for $5. And I was like, you know, the dudes come up to you like, yo, here's my mixtape.
Yeah,
Like, come back. He was paying every time for everyone that came up to him.
So it's just all these like shitty mixtapes.
Because I can't remember what I did. I think I just went around all the stores and looked at it and be like, wow, this is so strange. And would go in like M&M World and be like, wow, I can't afford any of this. Because it would be like $10 for a pack of M&Ms. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, I'm really broke, huh? My parents really didn't give me
Can't
enough
even
money.
afford M&Ms.
No. I remember as well, our hotel, right? They put us in like, I think it was like the Sun Inn. What is that called? It's like the Comfort Inn or something. Is that what it's called? The chain?
The sun.
It's got like a sun logo.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
called
I
Comfort
know.
Inn.
Yeah.
And I remember we were all baffled because the only thing they had for breakfast was like burgers that could be microwaved.
What?
And it was disgusting. And we were all like, yeah, American food. And we ate it with like, oh, American food.
That's like some White Castle shit.
Yeah, it was gross. I remember as well that we had to get the bus everywhere. And it was just the worst because they tried to fit like, they used public buses like private coaches.
The more you're talking, the more I'm realizing who decided to go on a school trip to New York.
I think it was must have been one teacher that really fucking
It
wanted
makes
to go.
sense. It makes sense that they didn't do it the year after.
So we would go on like the public buses, like the whole like 40 kids would go on a normal public bus that was already full.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, and then all the dudes were like topless on the bus, and we were like, oh god, I'm in danger. And then when the teachers would all go to bed, all the fucking kids just went out at night. And we were in because we were like not a rich school at all, so we were in like the really sketchy part of New York.
Yeah,
but you're rich enough to go to New York though.
Not really. It was. I remember the whole trip for like 4 or 5 days with flights and 5 hotels was like £800, and everything was taken for like. So it was.
I guess that has to compensate for the flights.
Very budget. So the hotels we stayed in were like not good at all. We were in like
were they like in the ghetto,
bro? We were like hella. Imagine it. You got like 40 just like white school kids that have no idea what's going on. That they break out at night and you're in like a ghetto, and it's like, oh god.
Were you guys in like Harlem or something?
I can't remember where we were, but we were very far away. It was like a 40-minute bus journey into town.
Jesus, that could have been anywhere sketch.
Yeah, I think we were
like Queens, maybe.
I think we might have been around somewhere like that. It was definitely. I remember that. I remember having these because you would see on the movies that New York was like, yeah, man, it's bustling, it's great.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is where we're staying everything is boarded up and dirty? What's up with that?
Because the hustling bustling is like 2 blocks in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Because I distinctly remember I really didn't like New York and I liked DC because when we went to DC, it was really nice. And I remember that because I was just scared when we were in New York.
That was my first impression going to New York as well. Because I also went when I was a bit older. So I was like 22 or
I feel
something
like when you're
that.
16 and 22, the way you see the world is completely different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still had this like, you know, the American film image of New York.
Yeah.
And I remember my first time going there, I remember thinking, man, there's a lot of street corners that I've never seen in any films that look pretty fucking dodgy.
This is where like Spider-Man's parents got killed.
That's the thing. When I went to New York like 4 or 5 years ago, like it was really good as long as your neck was like above like landscape, right?
Yeah,
it's just wow, these buildings look really good. And the moment you look down, you're just like, oh, that's a lot of trash.
Yeah, because that was my first impression.
Yeah.
There is a lot of trash that just has never appeared on any
like there is
films.
a mountain of trash on this corner that is like reaching like traffic lights level.
Like my God, going to Chinatown for the first time, it don't hit different. It
Oh,
smell different,
no.
man.
Oh no! This is episode 33 where we clown on America.
I remember the stream yesterday. I had a person come in being like, "Why do you guys hate America?"
We don't hate America.
We don't hate
Yeah, and I was
America.
I love how absurd America is.
The way I talk about Americans is like the way I like to shit on my cousins. You know what I mean? It's like the distant cousin that I just like to talk shit about.
We don't hate on America. We just like making fun of America. There's a big difference.
It's because, you know, Europe's boring. There's nothing weird about it. America is weird to a T. And that's why I love it.
Yeah, no, it comes from a place of love. You know what I mean? This is how us Brits show, like, we talked shit to our, like, mates.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, they're like, in it, oh, your teeth are shit. What, go and drink some tea. And like, wait, why are you making fun of America? Whoa.
Call your mates cunts and you call cunts mate. That's how it works.
True. Would you ever live in America? Have I asked this before on the podcast?
I don't think you've asked me on the podcast.
Yeah,
but
true. I think I've asked you personally.
Yeah.
Can't remember what your answer was. That's why I'm asking.
I mean, like, I've given it.
Well, yeah, because you're dating. Oh, yeah, because you're both.
Yeah.
With Americans.
God. Yeah, we hate Americans.
Oh.
We hate America. We hate Americans so much so that our significant other is from that country.
Are Americans.
I don't know. The way Sydney talks to me about food sometimes with like a nostalgia, I'm like, disgusting. Gosh.
I've considered living in America for maybe like a year just to like give it a go.
Like it's an asylum. I would go there to visit, you know.
Yeah. No, but like for real, like I don't hate visiting. Like I love visiting America. But I don't like, I don't know, just difference in personality, at least with me, and like way of living is like, it's very different to what I'm used to.
I love how open everyone is.
I do love how
crazy,
open
man.
everything
I love
is.
it.
Open everyone is.
Yeah.
I feel like the biggest thing I would have to get to is like I like feeling safe.
Yeah.
In the country.
Yeah. No, legit. Like
that-
the only thing stopping me from living in America is the fact that even during the day, I don't feel safe.
Yeah, like it's so weird for me where you can be in some of the most famous places in the world in America and you just can't walk anywhere. I like walking to places, you know what I mean?
Japan is all about walking everywhere.
I feel like I have to recalibrate my brain in order to go like in order to travel to places in America, because I forget that you have to just drive everywhere and just walking isn't normalized because you could, you know, it's just not safe. And
like even when you're in like the middle of LA, right? Like you'd be like, oh, you know, I'll just like go to the Starbucks that's just around the corner. You know, it's like it's just going to the next town in an RPG, and yet on the street corner there's a level 100 crackhead like standing there being like, "You're gonna come past me?"
When I was in San Francisco, man, I felt like just walking back to my hotel at 2 a.m. felt like a cyberpunk mission, dude.
Yeah, honestly, it's scary,
it was
dude.
like the fucking music was playing in my ears.
the fact that you said you walked back at 2 a.m. just like already scares me.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
scary.
I legit have never been scared just walking somewhere.
Yeah, right?
I was right in the middle of like the financial district in San Francisco. I was like, fuck. I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast as well, but yeah, that was fucking scary. I'm fucking scared. I'm scared thinking about it. I'm
That's
shooting myself.
the thing. That's the only thing that's stopping me from living in America.
Also, everyone I know from San Francisco has had their car broken into.
I've heard so many weird stories about like some of the stories that Maylin says, because Maylin is from San Fran, where it's so counterintuitive for me. Where this is the place where it's got like one of like the highest cost of living.
You pay like $1 million a year to live there.
Like a millionaire is considered like poor there. You know what I mean? That's kind of the place we're talking about. Yet it's a place where the cost of living is so high, yet it seems like you still need to worry about some of the stuff where I feel like if I'm earning $1 million, I wouldn't need to worry about it. Like why would I need to worry? Like why would I need to pay this much and worry about living in a neighborhood where my car could get broken into? Yeah, it feels like everyone who I've met from San Fran has had their something stolen.
They talk
or
about
something robbed.
Yeah, they talk about that just if they got like a parking ticket. You know, it's like, oh shit. Got it again. Oh well.
Yeah, when Maylin was talking about how she has to have like one headphone in just in case there's someone behind her to like take her purse or something, I'm like, what the fuck?
It's like, why would you? How do you feel safe living in a city like that, or a country like that, for that matter?
This is why I'm convinced the Cybertruck's being made. It's purely so it can withstand criminals in San Francisco breaking in.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's going to be in like fucking like armored trucks in San Francisco, but they'll still find a way to break into it.
Yeah,
right. But that's the thing. The only places I feel safe in America are like the super tourist heavy places, right?
Yeah.
So like the piers in San Francisco, or like, you know, fucking Vegas Strip, right?
Yeah, UK is somewhere in the middle, I think. Like you can't really like leave your laptop on the dashboard, really.
No.
I would argue though that's like, other than Japan, there's not a lot of countries where you can do
no,
that.
not really. But like in the UK, I'd leave like my headphones on the chair. I don't really mind risking that. I'm like, whatever.
No, I wouldn't even do that.
Well, it depends where you are. London, no. Other like in Wales, yeah, it's whatever.
Well, yeah, because that's countryside, right?
What are they gonna do? Run away with the sheep? Like what?
Get on the sheep. Go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's I don't know. It's weird. I really want to. I've always said this.
Like,
I've always wanted to live in America for a year.
I would like to live in America for.
I wouldn't mind trying it out.
Yeah.
I think if I move from Japan, I think I would like to try and get.
I'm still like, because me and Cindy want to move to America for a bit because like her family's there and you know she wants to be close to her family for a while. It's just finding the perfect place that I actually want to live in for a while. Because I don't know where I could see myself settling down in America.
Because like, you know, for YouTubers, it's like the #1 spot is always LA. But fuck living in LA. Sorry if you're from LA.
I heard there's
it's not about it's about LA YouTubers, man. It's
LA YouTubers are a different beast, man.
They are a different breed.
Like every like I feel like there's literally just two scenes on YouTube. YouTube and LA YouTube.
LA YouTube, yeah.
Like it's totally different. Like I like, and you know when someone's living in LA, I swear, because when you talk to them, you're like, bro, you're just like in another reality.
Yeah,
you play by different rules.
You sound brainwashed.
But I get it, because like that, when you're there, like you feel it. You feel like you're in a different place when you're in LA, and you feel like everything you do somehow has a bigger weight to it. I think that's what they think.
Yeah, everything's like brand, fucking marketing.
Like we were talking about cloud chasing before.
LacRoix.
LA is like LA is like the epicenter of cloud chasing.
Oh yeah,
I feel like everyone's out to get some clout.
Yeah, I feel dirty when I'm there. Like, when I'm talking to people,
I'm just like, dude, I'm just like trying to get just a Starbucks, bro. Like, why are we talking about
about how many subs you have. Like, I don't care. I
No,
really
did you
don't
see
care.
like that Donkey video where he like did a commentary over what was
the
that
100
brand?
Thieves.
The 100 Thieves one, and I'm just like,
Oh, the house.
yeah, there's
yeah,
the
yeah,
100 Thieves
So
house.
100 Thieves is an
Yeah.
esports organization
Yeah.
made by Nadeshot, who used to
Yeah.
be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
But yeah, he started one, right? So he has his own little. You want to go tell the rest of it?
Yeah, so he basically commentates over like this house tour, and it is like when the way Donkey commentates it is basically like you're going into a different fucking world. Because what was like the room, like the fucking
Tortino
Fortnite training room or something. I'm just like, this sounds like like you say that out of context, and this sounds like a dystopian.
Every room has a
nightmare.
sponsor in the
Yeah.
building.
Oh
So when you mention I'm in this room, you have to say like I'm in the Monster Energy gaming room. I want that for Trash Taste. I'm in the.
And this is our Del Taco's toilet.
I'm in the Tenga recording.
I'm in the Tenga.
Dude, I'll fucking have Tenga sponsor
Tenga
us.
coffee room.
Yes, yes.
God, I guess we should probably explain what a Tenga is to the audience. I guess.
Oh yeah, because you two just recently got one, right?
We got a joke gift from a friend of ours who gave us a Tenga, which
A
is just
Tenga is just a branded fleshlight.
Yeah, it's just a
fleshlight.
fleshlight. No, a Japanese fleshlight.
It's a high class flashlight.
Flashlights, when I see them, they make me look uncomfortable. Like, sorry, when I see them, I feel uncomfortable. Like, I see it, and I'm like, why does it look like that? Why does it look like Donkey Kong's lips? It's fucking disgusting. What is that? Like, it's so gross.
I've never heard anyone refer to a Tenga as Donkey Kong's
No,
lips.
no.
It's like
A fleshlight.
the stereotypical flashlight
Oh,
you see.
oh, okay,
Why
yeah.
would anyone want to stick their dick in that?
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
How
It
horny
does.
you got to be to
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah.
You know what? I want to know.
Because the thing is, no one's using like a fleshlight and an owner horn. They're actually looking at it to be like, oh yeah, I'm like basically fucking a pussy now. You know what I mean? Like nobody cares what it looks like.
It's so gross.
I don't know how Tenga managed to make it look normal,
No, they make it look like
like an ornament.
Yeah.
like a sleek thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. You should, if you come to Japan, go and check it out. They're in like Don Quixote, like in a lot of stores.
Yeah, so there's like different types of Tenga. There's like, I remember the first time I heard of it was just the Tenga eggs, which
yeah.
Which how do
I've
those
never
work?
seen that.
You've never seen them? It's like a you can get like a half dozen or like a dozen
just
of
like
them,
is
and it's
it-
like in an actual like egg carton.
So yeah, it's they sell actual egg cartons, and there's these Tenga eggs, which are actually like I've never used one before.
Where do you put your dick in that?
So
how does it work?
So you have to like crack it open, and then
Right.
it kind of stretches out. So it's basically just like
So wait, you literally just crack it open on the side.
yeah, you
and
kind of just fucking do this, and it cracks on the side, and then basically like the fleshlight part is kind of like squashed in, so you like stretch
Right.
it out.
Right.
And then you kind of just wrap it over. Don't ask me how I know that. By the way.
You know what's one thing I've never understood? People who jack off in their socks. What's up with that?
Yeah. That's the thing. like-
I don't know anyone who jacks off in a sock. I
No,
thought,
you- I
No,
hear
but
about
you
it.
hear it all the time,
I
right?
thought that was just an urban legend.
There was someone in my university who did it. He would jack
No.
off into. He had socks specifically for jacking
Why
off
would you
into.
give your
Why?
dick carpet
Yeah.
bone like that? Like how is that fucking comfortable?
For
at
some
all?
reason, the thought of using tissue is too much effort. Or getting any.
That's like rubbing your bare dick on the carpet,
Yeah.
right? It's like it just sounds like it hurts.
Is that how furries happen? Is that?
That's the first step of yiffing.
That's how you.
That's how you
get
yiff.
you get a taste for the fur. Yeah. Oh
my
You
God.
can't go back because
But you hear it all the time, right? It's like the whole like, oh, crusty socks kind of thing. I'm just like, haha, yeah, that's a funny fictional thing that never happens.
and so the guy in my one, he would use them like he would use his dirty socks. That because when you go to bed, you take off your socks, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So he would just throw them in his room. Then when he was going to do it, he would grab one, and then he was like, "Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to wash it anyway." I'm like, "So wait, you're telling me? Let me get this straight. You might have played like rugby. You might have gone running. You would use that sock,
Dude,
and then
he literally gave himself his own foot
athlete's foot.
job. He gave himself a self-foot job, basically.
yeah,
his
but like a
stinky-
sweaty,
It's so-
stinky
I am-
foot job.
I'm so sorry to the listeners who are grossed out by this. Yeah, but I just couldn't believe it, and I've asked people like, "Do you do this? Is this a thing? Do you know anyone?" And like,
Yeah.
I know people who do it. And I'm like, "Why are you friends with them? What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, but what if they're doing like a friend of a friend of mine?
I've heard,
but it's actually them.
In fact, I have heard people who have found out like their brothers or like the sister found their brother doing it. I've heard that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the worst.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
gross. Imagine walking in your brother, you see his like socks. Why are they crusty?
oh my god.
I just don't understand how because I've heard of people as well using the same sock more than once without cleaning it.
What?
Yeah.
do they want to get like a fucking UTI?
I think, yeah,
that's what.
Is this like the speedrun any percent to like a sexual transmitted
Yeah.
disease? Like, I don't understand.
Chlamydia any percent.
This is like Victorian era syphilis simulator. Like, what is this?
Like, at which point was a tissue just too like complicated to figure out?
Get a box. They're not hard to put on any surface.
Yeah.
They're flat, you know. Just
Or if you can't even do that, just roll a toilet paper, you know? Like, that'll also suffice.
don't understand.
But yeah, I mean, like, dude, aside from like fucking apparently wanking into socks, which is what we're talking about now, do you actually know anyone who owns like a fucking pocket pussy or like
Like a non-tenga.
yeah, like a non-tenga?
I feel like people don't admit it. I feel like there's probably way more than I realize.
I don't know anyone who's like
It's because they're not telling you,
Yeah,
God. They're not
yeah,
telling
they're
you.
not telling you.
Is it just a thing that guys just don't tell each other, or is it just a thing that guys just don't buy? I don't know.
I think there's a certain shame in admitting that you come into a plastic toy.
Yeah. I feel as well, like, maybe we're just hanging out with, like, not those kinds of people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And I think it's also because like, like you said, they look fucking ugly and they look fucking
Yeah.
weird. Like, there's no way that your mum opens a drawer and sees like an owner hole or like a pocket pussy.
Yeah.
And you explain that shit away.
Like, to me, in my mind, it has to be like there's two graphs, right? There's effort to clean it and enjoyment I get out of it.
All right.
And if it takes,
Are you, like, min-maxing pocket pussies?
well, no, because the problem is, right, is that I don't want to clean it. I don't want anything to do with it when I'm done. I want it to be done. Like, undusted.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you get it in a tissue, you throw that shit away.
Yeah.
Right? It's gone.
Yeah.
It's out of my mind. Like, do I really, worst case scenario, if I'm really desperate for lube for some reason, I'm sure I can just lube up my hand, right? But I don't want to make a mess. That is like my priority here. I just want to get this over with. I'm not trying to have like, I'm not lighting candles, you know, scenting the air. Like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just trying to get it done.
Turn on the mood lights.
Like, I don't understand like who, like, it's that enjoyable to them that they're willing to go then to the kitchen, have this shameful thing, and just like, all right, I'm gonna clean out my jizz. Like, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to fucking do anything with it. I get disgusted when I get a little bit on my hand. I'm like, oh no, that won't do it all. Get that off.
It's just, some people are just don't care, man.
It's just weird for me because like it seems like it's, you know, socially acceptable for girls to have like whatever sex toy they want, right? And I mean, they sell it on high street stores. Like in England, we have Ann Summers where you can just go in there and.
I mean, I get it. It's For a guy, it's like you can do it in like 2 seconds, right? Get it done. That's it, if you really need to, right?
Yeah.
For a girl, I guess it takes longer, right? It's a bit harder.
For the girl, you actually have to like light the candles and turn on the mood lights, right?
Yeah, but I also imagine like fingering yourself is probably, I wouldn't know. It's probably a little more difficult. I don't know, man.
I wouldn't know that the thumb is way harder than the pinky. No.
I wouldn't know.
Anyway.
It's getting way too graphic for this podcast. Right?
Anyway.
Cut that mood out.
Have you though?
What? Fingered myself?
Yeah.
No. What?
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, Joey, what the fuck? I'm guessing we're cutting this.
No.
Fuck. Where the fuck did that
Are
come
you
from?
admitting that you fingered yourself? Joey?
Do you have something you want to tell us, Joey?
I said no.
You want to admit, bro?
I
Come
said
on,
no.
man. It's okay.
That's like that. Have you ever?
We're all homies here. We're all homies here, Gary.
No,
my
I would
homies
never
don't
do
like
that.
fingering.
Joey, like, my stool broke one time, never been the same.
Yeah, I guess like coming to Japan, I am impressed by the fucking variety of sex toys. I mean, I see it way more often because, you know, I'm fucking dating Sydney and it's her fucking job to review these different types of things. But man, they are so imaginative and
I unironically like love going to just fucking like there's one in Akihabara that I always go to called Love Mercy, I think it's called. And it's like under the bridge and it's like a 4-story fucking sex shop.
oh yeah, and that's right in the middle of Akihabara, isn't
Right
it?
in front of the
I've been there.
station.
It doesn't look like a adult store.
Yeah, and like the 4th floor, like the top floor is like no females allowed because like that's where all of like the guy toys and like the fucked up porn is. And I was like, how bad could it be? So I went up there. I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm allowed on this floor technically under the rules of the store, but I do not want to be.
feel welcome.
I don't want to be on this floor.
Yeah.
Like,
It feels illegal just being there, man. Seeing when you get up,
I feel like I'm committing a felony.
yeah,
just
when you
being
get
here.
up higher and then you see the sex dolls, the actual like
They,
realistic
they creep
looking
me the
sex
fuck
dolls.
out, bro.
Yeah. And they're fucking expensive too. There's like
10 grand, right?
yeah. Like the good quality ones. I'm like, what's the difference?
I don't, like the thought of having to clean out like a fake
Like,
person
what is the
is so disgusting.
What is the maintenance cost on these fucking dolls, man? Like they must be more expensive to fucking maintain than just going out to a soap land.
But that's what I'm thinking. It's like these things are so expensive. You're better off going to like a soap land, 10, 20 times.
I guess there's the shame, right? Right? I get it. It's a bit different, but I get it though. Like financially, it makes sense to go to a soap land. The shame of having to go to a prostitute or something, basically.
I think I'd rather do that than fucking buy a doll.
The shame of having someone look back at you and judge you, as opposed to like looking at lifeless eyes that they can't judge.
Hey, if other people want to fucking do it, that's fine. I don't care. But I can't do that, man. The shame would be too much for me.
I had a mate who like couldn't go to any strip clubs because he was just like, going to a strip club is just like looking at porn that could look back at you, man. That's
I've never been to a strip club, and they always just seem weird. Like I just the idea of it, and it's sad because everyone always tells me the food is like normally the best part of it. And like,
what? I would not order food at a strip club.
Me and the boys go to a strip club just to have like a 5-course delicate meal, man.
Why not? I would. No.
It's like your friend is like, yo, I know this fucking great strip club. Steaks are fucking bomb.
Someone said like, I can't remember who it was. Someone in America, they're like, yeah, dude, the wings were bomb at the strip club. And I'm like, yeah, in my mind, if any food would be good in a strip club, for some reason it would be wings.
At that point, does that mean you've just gone to too many strip clubs where you go there and there's just like naked girls dancing? You're like, no. Give me the wings. I want the wings.
I would pay for a YouTube series where someone is like very loudly in like a music blaring. He's like reviewing a strip club and the wings. I would pay good money for that. Like
it's like review, bro.
Yeah, like a report of the week in a strip club, like reviewing the wings. He's like, can you turn the music down a little bit?
It's like, please, out on the loud.
I fear for what I don't know. I don't want to use any of these sex toys because I don't want to start liking them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm just going to get more and more extravagant with it until the maintenance costs are through the roof. I'm happy with where I'm at right now. Just beating my meat and just getting it done. Like
my
that's
own
fine.
Trusty hand,
It does the job. I don't need more than that.
That's why I'm afraid of like trying something like VR porn. You know what I mean? Where it's just like this is going.
What if I like it?
This is going an extra mile here. This. Like yeah, exactly. Like, what if I like it? What if I experience something new from this? I don't know. I don't want to. I'm in a happy relationship.
You recently bought a VR headset. Right?
I mean, I bought it to play fucking games. Okay. I want to play Half-Life Index.
There is no way there is a part of you that is like, no, I gotta try this out. There is no way there isn't a part of you.
Of course there is, but like,
so
I just don't like the idea of coming with a headset on. There's something about that feels wrong. Like I'm wearing a big ass headset with these controllers and shit. Like I don't want to fucking. Are you kidding me?
I can imagine just like you climax and like the post nut shame must be on another level, right? Because you just
take the headset off.
You take the headset.
It's like, oh god,
headset. You've got the controllers and you're like, oh, this is where my life has led me now.
Beat Saber, okay. I feel like I don't.
Actually, you just did a video on this, didn't you? Where you went to Illusion.
Yeah. I went to Illusion and played the VR porn games that they made. It's fucking weird. Like, I don't know. I did like a safe for work one. It was barely safe for work.
If you were in the privacy of your home, could you nut to it?
If I tried really hard, maybe.
What do you mean if you could try really hard?
Like if I was given like 30 minutes to myself, like maybe.
Bro, I'm sure I could manage to come to anything if I had 30 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's not the optimal thing I would use because it's like I don't know. There's a part. It was really fun to do. Right? Because it's just so ridiculous. Yeah. But there is just so much about it that's just so jank. Where you're just like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be lying down in this thing, but I'm also standing up. And if I look down, I just look into the guy's neck. I mean, it's just a bit weird.
That's the thing about VR porn, right? I mean, you have to be dedicated to this wank session. Yeah. You know what I mean? There are so many steps you are putting on just to jack off. Yeah. You know?
What if the sensors get like they like stop working mid wank? What does it do? Finish. Just for
I guess so.
It's not exactly a casual wank, is it? You know what I mean?
It's ranked competitive wank.
It is a fucking side quest, dude. Like,
I guess the thought I had was, I've watched the least amount of anime this year, and I feel like a lot of people have watched.
Last year?
Oh, sorry, fucking last year. Hey. But yeah, I've watched the least amount of anime last year, and I feel like a lot of people in the anime fandom have, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like the community now is evolving from just being like, there's a difference between now being an anime fan and a weeb, and we touched on this earlier. But I realized this when hanging out with Connor, how much of a normie Connor is compared to both me and Joey. Like, how does it feel?
What are you saying? What are you saying?
How does it
We're
feel?
saying you're a normie.
How does it feel for you hanging out with like people like us? I guess, or
What do you mean people like you?
We're a different breed, apparently.
Wait, so
Like,
why do you think I'm a normie, first of all?
okay, because
You don't care about anime as much as we do.
I care about anime.
no, you care about anime, but there's only you only go so deep into the culture,
Yeah.
right? Where you don't really get waifu culture, you don't really get a lot of like for VTubers as well.
yeah.
No comment.
Yeah.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
how-
is
I-
VTubing part of the culture?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it grew out. It grew out of the anime culture, right?
I mean, you gotta kind of have a like and appreciation for anime in order to watch anime girls streaming.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Like how deep do you say your anime fandom goes?
That's a weird question.
well,
to
could
ask.
you frame me maybe a scale or something that you could judge me by? 10
One,
being
okay,
a fake
okay,
fan?
okay. One is like, I watch Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia, like
Okay,
just getting started
Okay.
level. And 10 is like, I look at an anime and I know exactly who the Gengar artist for this is.
Fuck that. What are you on that scale? Where would you put yourself, actually, then? This might help me
Like a
judge, like,
7
wow.
or an 8, I'd say.
I would put myself as a 7 or an 8.
Probably like, it probably would have been like a 5, but now it's probably like a 4. Maybe
Yeah.
even a 3, honestly. But it's probably gone down to a 3,
Yeah.
recently.
What would you
Yeah, I
say?
mean, do you feel like you've become less of an anime fan like more recently, and have you like fallen out of the culture ever since you moved to Japan?
I guess because,
I mean, it's not like you don't watch anime, right? Like, you still
I
keep
still
up to
love
like
anime.
all
I
the
still
stuff, right? Yeah, yeah.
love anime memes. I love otaku culture.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
like the community in general. But I think just when you get so deep into it, it would start like, and the community, I just started to like not enjoy the community when it got into a point where it was getting really deep and everyone was like, yo, name your favorite key animator. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Who cares? I
Yeah.
like the show and the story. Why do
Yeah.
I need to care about that?
No, I mean, like, we can argue that Gant and I are probably at that point too. But if someone came up
Yeah.
to me and said, "Name your favorite key animator," I'll be like,
I think
I know.
I think there was just a lot of like, at least when I was, I don't know if it's still going on. I mean, you guys can tell me, but that when I was trying to get really deep into it and I really wanted to learn more about it, it got very like gatekeepy at a point.
Yeah, it
where-
definitely did.
It's been like that. It's been like that for a while, to be
Yeah.
honest.
To
Yeah.
where I just started to like not really enjoy it, and then I realized I think I just I enjoy these shows way more when I'm just casually.
I mean, I just kind of
consuming
learned to appreciate it more and kind of get deeper into it without really interacting with the community around it. I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I guess for a lot of people, I think me included, when I get into something, the one thing that I will always do is just like look at the community for it.
All right.
And be like, all right, what's the norms? What should I get into? What's everyone saying like the best
Yeah.
thing? Because that's a way of like guiding your, like, it's like a tailored experience of like what everyone thinks is
Yeah.
like the best
Yeah.
way of enjoying something.
Because I feel like you don't really follow seasonal anime anymore, right? You just kind of wait to see what everyone's talking about and what's worth watching. Like, how do you decide what anime to watch?
But I think that's because like the seasonal experience of viewing animes kind of like died almost. Like I don't think
so.
I don't think people nearly talk about seasonal anime in a week by week way like they used to.
I disagree. I just think
Really?
it's because last year was like so dry for seasonal anime that there was just nothing for people to talk about.
It was just a lot of mid shows last year.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel like now, especially with like Netflix coming and releasing the episodes in like
Oh, yeah,
batches,
but, like, not-
everyone's like, it's not, did you watch the latest episode of Beastars? Like, did you watch Beastars? And
No,
it's like,
yeah,
did
but
you-
like, that's like one out of every fucking 100 anime
yeah, but
that
I
comes
feel like
out every year. Right?
everyone asks that now. It's not. Did you watch the newest episode? It's off. It's. Are you
I
watching?
mean,
Attack on Titan?
I would say like, are you watch like people are still asking, are you watching the newest episode of Attack on Titan?
Yeah.
So people just say, "Are you watching Attack on Titan?" Not, "Are you watching the newest episode?"
No, literally every stream I do, there's always
Yeah,
a
okay,
group
yeah,
of people
yeah.
who are like,
Attack on
have you
Titan-
watched? No, it's like, have you watched this anime? Have you watched
Attack on
this
Titan
anime?
is different. Attack on Titan is like
No,
an event.
not Attack on Titan. Like any seasonal anime.
No, normally I never get seasonal anime. People asking me. No one
Oh,
gives a fuck.
I get that all the time.
No one gives a fuck if I was watching like Oraimon. What is that? What is it called? Oraimon.
Oraimon.
What the fuck's it called? What's it called? What's it called?
Orimo.
That's it. Who the fuck gives a shit?
Are you trying to say Orimo and Doraemon?
Yeah, who gives a shit? It's the same
That's
shit.
cursed.
Generic feels good anime that's an 8 season,
Yeah.
like, are you watching that? No one asked me fuck if I'm asking that, if I'm watching that shit. Right?
Right.
No one asked me if I watch Decadence. You know what I
Yeah.
fucking mean? Like, no one gives a shit because there's so many animes that are so mid now. And
God, I
there's so many
remember
coming out.
Decadence. I tried watching
Right.
that.
There's so many animes that are coming out that the only ones people I seem to have that, because it used to be, again, when there's a lot less anime as well, that
Yeah.
everyone could kind of ask, are you watching these shows? Are you watching it weekly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now because there's so fucking many, and we have so many like good shows, but like we only really, I find in my experience that general Twitter only really asks if you're watching a show weekly now or keeps up with the hype if it's a big event like Attack on Titan.
Right.
Because I feel like what was missing last year was that fucking big event. Because last year we had something like the Demon Slayer episode that really like.
But even then, I never saw like week by week plays by Demon Slayer. People were talking
week by week plays.
Everyone's like, yo, Demon Slayer episode 17, boys. What we all saying? What we all saying on Twitter? You know, there wasn't like any of that. It was just episode 19 was amazing. It gave the birth of my children. Jesus Christ is reborn. Like that's what happened, right? Yeah. That was it. Like there wasn't anything else other than like Demon Slayer, good, right? Yeah. That was it. I feel like, do you not think that's kind of like it's shifted a little? Am I seeing something you guys aren't?
I think maybe it's just shifted just because you've kind of shifted away from it. Because I've also shifted away from it too, and I've definitely noticed like the lack of.
But I do feel like that's so many people, because I know so many people now who like they say they're anime fans. They're anime fans.
Manga, 100%.
Yeah, and they all they do is read manga, watch VTubers, and play gacha games.
Wow, and I'm in this photo and I hate it.
you know what I mean?
That's literally me. That was me in 2020.
I never see people talking about episode 3 of this. It's always chapter this of this manga, because everyone knows that they're released at this point, and then everyone keeps up with it on Twitter.
Yeah.
But I never see it for anime. No one does anime episode reviews anymore, except for like big shows like Attack on Titan, ReZero. Yeah. Everyone does manga chapters things. Still, they're so popular.
I mean, there's still
I genuinely think it shifted. I don't think I'm the weird one here. I think you guys can't see the truth.
I think
that's happening.
I disagree with like no one does episode reviews anymore, because there's still like a big group of YouTubers who still do it.
Oh really? You watch episode reviewers? Name every episode reviewer right now.
Chibi reviews. Chibi's probably the only person I know.
Yeah, bro, Chibi's the only one.
YouTube will be taken down and Chibi will still be making reviews. I don't know who like, come on, that doesn't count, man.
Well, no, that's literally like that's the only one that matters in my opinion.
I guess. I mean, it's wild.
I mean, I feel like that kind of mirrors the culture now, because I feel like definitely being an anime YouTuber last year was fucking hard. Anime content last year was like from my perspective, anime content on YouTube just didn't do as well, because no one was watching any anime. But videos around anime culture, like what you guys were doing, you guys fucking killed it last year, in my opinion. And I feel like that's because nobody like, people care less about individual shows now, and people just more care about the culture.
I think the last time I did a show or a video on a show that was like seasonal and ongoing was fucking Promised Neverland, and that was like what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
I think
almost.
Mine's like Banana Fish.
That
was fucking amazing. Banana Fish.
It was like 2-3 years ago, right? And it's like since then, it's just like every season comes around, and I do what will I be watching, and then I look at the list, and I was like,
the biggest lie of the century.
Joey needs to change the title that I lied to you for 20 minutes.
What I'm looking at.
I love how the comments have finally called you out on it though. They're like,
of course.
Don't fucking lie to us.
Yeah,
Joey.
of course. No, that series now is just a fucking quick, easy way of being like, oh, let's see what Joey thinks about this. Yeah. We know he's not going to watch it, but at least we'll know what he feels
like,
about it.
For me, seasonal anime has just become this glorified manga recommendation system. Where if I find a series like this, it's so rare.
This is what like shopping is to Amazon. Like, I go to the store to go and buy it on Amazon.
It is, right? Because most of the time you find an anime, and it's like, we talked about this before, where it's not an adaptation that's amazing. It's a passable adaptation where I'm just like, I don't get anything more than this from like watching the anime versus reading the manga. So you just end up reading the manga.
Yeah.
It's only like Jujutsu Kaisen is like one of the few, like Jujutsu Kaisen, JoJo, and like some of like the big shonen ones are one of the few exceptions where they actually have budget and money behind this to make this a fucking amazing production. You know what I mean? But for the most part, you have a production that's just mediocre. It's okay.
They're just there.
Yeah. And it's just like, I'd rather just read the manga and get ahead and speedrun this stuff.
Yeah, honestly. Like that's how I've kind of found myself too. And also like, you know, at least very unique opportunity for me is that like I can read 90% of the shit that hasn't come out yet, you know? So it's like, why not just get ahead on that shit?
Do you feel like you would read more manga if you could actually read it physically? Probably. Or do you not care?
Probably would.
Yeah.
I would, although I would annoy me having fuck tons of manga in my house, and like, because I've read it, I'm not really going to read it again.
Call Jerry out like that.
I'm in this photo and I hate it.
How often do you pick up a manga and just read it?
Every day.
That's a fucking lie. I was ready for that.
Like, I'm not joking. Like every day, I have to, because I have so many that I've yet to read.
Yeah, but you never reread the ones you've read, right?
Sometimes I do.
Why?
Because I like it. Otherwise, I wouldn't fucking buy it.
God
Yeah,
if there's a manga I pick up, if there's a new manga I pick
Maybe
up,
if I could speak Japanese, it'd be a different.
yeah, if there's a new manga I pick up, and I pick up new manga all the fucking time, because it's like, oh, I don't know anything about this. This just came out, might be good, and I buy it, and I don't like it, I resell that shit.
Rewatching media to me feels like playing, casual games on a when there's a ranked playlist. It's like, why would I waste my time on this casual game?
Yeah, but you never casual game, so
exactly.
Yeah.
So
I casual game all the time.
To me, like I'm
just built different, bro.
Back in the day when you'd meet a girl, right? And you'd be like, oh, cool. Yeah, what movie do you want to watch? It's like, let's watch White Girls, my favorite movie. I've watched it like 15 times. Like, 15 times? Why? Why would you watch Frozen 16 times? Did you get something the 16th time? That why?
I mean, I've seen Pulp Fiction about 30 times.
Okay, movies like that where you miss a shit tons, I get it to go back. But there's... Yeah. You ain't missing any like deep themes from Frozen or White Chicks. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
I don't know. I feel like part of the allure of rewatching films or media with people you haven't watched it before.
Okay, with people I haven't watched. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Because I feel like the only time I actually rewatch something now is when I'm with someone who hasn't watched this show. And you're just like waiting for their reaction. Just like,
that's tempting.
The big part's coming up, and they're on their phone, and it's like a heartbreak. It's like fucking heartbreaking to you. You want to politely say, pay the fuck attention, you scrub. But like, you don't want to sound like an asshole, you know?
That is my fucking pet peeve, dude. And the worst is like, the worst is I remember one time I was showing, I forgot what movie it was to Aki. And she was like really quiet for like the first hour. And I'm like, oh, she must be really paying attention. I look over, she's fucking asleep. And I'm just like, this is so sad, Alexa.
Doesn't she make you like watch Disney movies all the time?
Okay, to be fair though, I wouldn't watch half the movies that she shows me unless but at least the good thing is 80 to 90% of the movies she actually does show me, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah. I think if you ask me, would I rather be, interrogated in Guantanamo Bay or have a girlfriend who's obsessed with Disney or Kingdom Hearts? I think I'd take Guantanamo Bay. I think I'd have more chance of staying sane.
Okay, but
I cannot stand girls who always just want to watch Disney movies. It drives me insane.
That's like 90% of girls.
No!
Honestly, I'm sorry for you, Joe. That's my nightmare as well.
Okay, I thought I was gonna hate it, but then again, I've seen so few Disney movies, understandably.
I'm so glad that girls are moving away from that and getting into true crime now. I can get behind girls wanting to watch true crime.
No. If anything, I would rather watch Disney movies than true crime.
No, I love true crime.
No. I would have to go with the true crime.
No, you don't understand. Aki, every morning I wake up to some kind of police interrogation tape audio.
Same here.
Joey wakes up and like, is it a rapist today, honey?
Yeah,
oh, great.
Yeah, I'm just like, every time he's just like, so why did you do it? So why did you do it?
Yeah, it's that.
I'm just like, I don't want to wake up to this.
It's that criminal psychology channel, right? That I swear every girl is watching now.
Jim Can't Swim psychology.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. There's so many channels like that, and I'm just like,
because I watched the Jim Can't Swim psychology, and then my recommended was just, it's like the new reaction YouTubers.
Yeah,
they're all reacting to interrogations, and I'm like, what is happening? Why are we reacting to interrogations?
Like I get it, because you watch it and you almost feel physically suffocated, right? Because I remember watching some of these videos, and you feel like a kid again, where you stole a cookie, and your mom's like, did you steal a cookie? And you're just like, oh, what do I say? What do I say? And it's like that simulator without being back in that.
Yeah, because they have the thing. They'll pause the interrogation and be like, this is the backward suplex mental gymnastic move. And I'm like, I love it when my mother used to do that one to me. They're like, this is the alter ego sufficing technique. And I'm like, loved it when my dad did that one to me. That's a classic. I love that one. You know?
Yeah, it's like being back in school, you know, getting told off for detention. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because the detectives would be like, we have proof. And they wouldn't say the proof. And I'm like, this is like the big mind game in school. Like, we know you did it. I'm like, bullshit, you didn't.
Yeah, I know. Where's the proof? And then they would go, we don't need to show it. Just know that we have it.
They're just shitting their pants.
And just seeing like good cop, bad cop in action and seeing it actually work. And it's just, it's I can see how you can fall down that rabbit hole and it become addictive.
It's interesting. It's interesting, don't get me wrong, but every day...
I honestly could probably watch it
every fucking morning.
I couldn't do it every day.
It's not something I want to watch first thing in the morning.
I would rather watch a mediocre documentary over a good movie.
That's you have programmed your brain wrong. You literally have programmed your brain wrong.
Even that just does make sense.
I just like real life stuff way more than like, I don't know why. I've somehow gotten into it where I just really enjoy like stories of real people.
But like here's the thing, because I've thought about this recently, where I feel like a lot of people now are more like will be more willing to watch something that they don't have to pay 100% attention to. So if you have like a really high quality movie or something that you need to like pay attention to, you're less likely to watch that than say fucking Trash Taste, you know, fucking just three people chatting shit for 2 hours.
That's true.
Or like a real life documentary where not every detail is important. You just get like the basic story around it.
That's fine. I don't know. I don't know why I'm like that. I just enjoy it. I'm sure there's people out there who are the same. Like, because on Netflix, I think all I watch is like documentaries.
You've watched, every time I meet you, you watch a new documentary. I have no idea where you find the time to do that.
I play a lot of them in the background.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, but does that count as watching it?
Well, because some of them are, like I said, like some of them are mid. So it's like, just put it on the background and let it do its thing.
That's one thing I've never understood is like people who say like, yeah, I've watched like, 500 movies. I'm like, oh, how did you watch it? Oh, I just let it play in the background while I was like cleaning the dishes. I'm like, does that count as watching the movie?
I'm like typing up while it's in my peripheral and I'm like listening to it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't really count that as watching it.
What? Fuck off. That's watching.
Yeah, because I can't concentrate on it.
It's watching, but you couldn't do that to something like Pulp Fiction.
No, God, no. That's why I would never treat it like that.
Yeah, exactly. And
same with anime.
And I feel like doing that, I've realized that because I've been doing that more often with YouTube videos as well, and I've found it harder and harder just to fucking sit down and watch something.
Yeah.
Like it's do you find that like watch unless it's like a super engaging show, like watching any standard show now is just 10 times harder because you kind of just want to skip to where the important plot points are.
Sometimes. I mean, I've been watching some pretty good shows recently that I haven't really had trouble with, but yeah, sometimes I have that problem.
I'm glad I've never subjected myself to that because otherwise I'd probably be feeling the same pain. But
maybe.
I don't put something on unless I have the full intent of putting 100% of my concentration into it.
Oh, man.
Because I don't know, like I don't see the point of like working on something while something else is playing in the background. Because then I'm just going to get distracted by whatever's playing.
I don't get
distracted. So either way, I can't concentrate on watching the thing and doing whatever the fuck else I'm doing.
I can't focus without some noise. Like I need noise.
Yeah, I just put music on.
Yeah, I mean music or put something on.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
But like I can't have anything that's like visual on. You know what I mean? Like
what's the last thing you put down that you properly concentrated on then?
Like
was it The Boiis?
Yeah, I watched The Boiis.
The Boiis was a good TV show.
Yeah, that was really fucking good.
That was really fucking good and really
I've heard
engaging.
good things about that, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't really check my phone or anything. I was just watching it the whole time. Season 1 was really fucking good. Season 1 was,
That's the kind of experience I want whenever I watch something. I'm kind of, because I've been noticing I've been getting so distracted recently when watching stuff that I just... I enjoy it less and I miss the enjoyment I had when I guess I was a kid.
Are you one of those people who like can't be watching something unless they have like their phone in their hand?
I didn't used to be like that, and I've slowly become that person. You know what I mean? And doing that on anime is hard mode, man, because fucking
because you gotta read the
because I gotta read the subtitles. And my fucking god, it's like trying to watch Monogatari when you're eating something, right?
Yeah.
Like it's so fucking difficult.
It's like, wait, I missed the 1 second of dialogue that was important because the crunching sounds in my ears.
Yeah, I don't really do it with anime because anime, again, you have to focus. Right? So I don't really get distracted, which is why I think I find it. I don't watch as much anime as I used to, is because it is kind of like I do have to.
But that's why watching anime on Netflix is so much easier because you watch the dub and it becomes like the same kind of enjoyment now. But watching subbed anime, watching seasonal anime has just become that much harder because of that exact reason.
Going back to the debate about am I a real anime fan? Okay, no, but like because you mentioned something, you said like VTubers, whatever, anime, manga, gacha games. Why do you feel like gacha games is like a big part of being an anime fan?
Because gacha's originally from anime.
Yeah,
games.
The
Japanese kind of invented it.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's not that deep in anime culture, right? It's like
it kind of is.
You can be an anime fan without ever playing a gacha game.
Yeah, of course, but you can't play. But it very rarely play a gacha game without being an anime fan.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's plenty of original like gacha games out there that aren't anime based at all.
Yeah, but how many people play those compared to the anime based gacha games?
Well, I mean, Genshin.
How many more?
Is Genshin Impact an anime game?
How is Genshin Impact not an anime game?
Well, I would consider anime being like the actual like manga anime shows.
Oh no, like
No.
I'm more talking about like the anime art style.
Okay.
I mean,
Like the Azura Lanes, the Arknights, like they weren't based off anything.
Yeah.
yes, and then the same with VTubers, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would say, who's watching VTubers who's never watched anime before? You know what I mean? That's
A confused dad. That's who's watching it.
I like the gacha games. I mean, I really enjoyed Arknights when I was playing that. I don't really play it anymore. But like, and Genshin was fine. I didn't like how I couldn't skip any of the fucking dialogue. I think they added that now, though.
They've added that now.
I literally rage quit one of my streams because there was so much dialogue and it wouldn't stop. Like, and you would walk 10 seconds to get another dialogue for 2 minutes. And I'm like, this is taking the piss. This is ridiculous. No one can enjoy this.
Yeah.
I want to see you play a Yakuza game. You'd probably lose your fucking mind.
I'd be like, what is happening? What is going on?
Yeah.
And like, I don't get it how people can get excited for every new fucking gacha game.
I think that's a question you have to ask Tectone,
We have also
right?
been brainwashed into being excited for rates that are higher like than 2%. We're like, boys, it's practically 50-50 here. It's practically 2%
Once it's above 2%,
Wow,
it's like it's basically a guaranteed
Yeah,
drop.
I feel called out now.
and they've all memed it so much that they're actually like proud of it when it's like 2%. They're like, they're practically giving the 5 stars away. Like, you know what I mean?
That's practically a guaranteed drop.
I like a lot of the stuff. I hate how games have just completely normalized, like, you know,
microtransactions
to death. Yeah, like I enjoyed Arknights. It was fun, but like, you know, I'd spent like $800 on that game, and there was still some missions I couldn't do. And I'm like, how much do I need to spend to be able to do the hardest missions? Tell me how much. This is ridiculous.
Just turn your brain off and just enjoy the game, and you'll just enjoy the experience.
Because then it fucking is like, beep beep, you got no fucking resources left. Oh, you want to pay? You want to pay a little money to keep playing? Do you? Because like, I hate that.
I would say the only real gacha game I'm playing right now is Genshin, and my biggest problem with Genshin has nothing to do with like the gacha system, even though the pull rates suck ass. But I mean, I never like if the drop rates are fucking ass, then I don't go into it with the mentality of I'm going to get this character, or I'm going to get this person. When you come in with expectations, that's when you lose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's when you lose.
It's like walking into a casino being like, I'm gonna win the jackpot.
My actually biggest problem with Genshin right now is that when you reach the end game, it really feels like you reach the end game, because you are you're fucking squeezing out content that's just not there.
Yeah, I've
anymore.
heard like you
we went
grind
over that.
so much.
And it's become so apparent with Genshin as opposed to other gacha games, because I'm sure we've played enough gacha games that where you reach that point, right, where you
open it, do the dailies, and you're like, I got nothing to fucking do.
This is just